And I remember her saying, okay, you're going to play Mr. Sin today. And she hands me this purple puppet with a nasty mustache. Pop the little puppet up, and literally on cue, 80 kids out there all, boo, no, yuck, I hate that guy. I was like, man, these guys are trained on cue. Like, I don't know if they got candy for doing that or what. But
oh, man, they just want to come down on someone.
Theological teaching. Deep theological teaching.
Well.
Hey everyone, welcome to Together We Build. I'll be hosting this show today, and this is the third part of a series on Nehemiah.
Part 3.
What was it, Mary? I pronounce it Ezra. It was the third part on the series of the book of Nehemiah, and I'm super pumped about it. This is one of those ones where I feel like it's applicable to everybody. Everybody's going to look at it through their own eyes and apply it to them. So for me, I feel like the whole book is very entrepreneurial and business focused, but it's super relevant. I feel like it's relevant for the whole body right now because I feel like so many things are shifting and changing, and the world is very tumultuous. And that's a new word I learned, by the way, tumultuous. That's a good one.
Did you practice saying that correctly?
Tumultuous. It's a good one.
I feel like we should have gotten our glasses with the wiggly eyes.
We don't have wiggly eye glasses.
Yeah, we do.
We do?
Yeah.
We have big glasses, enormous glasses. Glasses that we used for our core identity episodes. If you've not seen the core identity episodes, it seems like it was episode 6 and 7 or something like that. And they're really good, super good. Okay, I want to dig into this. I think we can get the rest done in this episode and finish this amazing series off as a 3-part series. But before we do that, there's one thing that is critically important. And if we were to skip it, Haley would pick up the camera that she's running back there and throw it. So we don't want to do that. She's very eager to hear about the be or not be.
Then we would have to sing her the self-control song.
Self-control. Sing it, Prudence. How does it go?
Once I had a knot in my shoe and it would not come loose. I tried and tried and pried, but it would not come loose. I got so mad I kicked the door and slammed my little toe. Oh! If only I had learned a little bit of self-control.
Boom, boom, boom. What do we do? Okay, we just need to stop this right now.
It's just controlling myself.
Okay, let's get to the B. I don't want to get so far down the road that we have to say, okay, we got to start over.
Music song when I was a kid.
Was that part of the
This is the divider, so I can't cheat.
I'm going to lower my brightness so you cannot see.
It's like one of those little worthless plastic COVID walls, except for better.
The virus is like, oh no, what am I going to do? I can't penetrate this plexiglass in between me and the cash register checker.
Okay.
Never mind, I touched all the food. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so be or not be. You guys know the rules. The rules are I'm going to read some headlines, and they're either headlines from a regular traditional news source. I didn't say accurate. I just said traditional. Or they're from the Babylon Bee, which is a satire news website. Mm-hmm. So, if you don't know what the Babylon Bee is, definitely do yourself a big, huge favor. This is just a little bit awkward. And check it out. I'll just turn this like this so you can't see. Okay. Be or not be. You guys ready? Mm-hmm. First of all, do you want to put any money down, Prudence?
No, and you ask me that every single time.
One of these times you're going to say, yes, I'm so confident. I want to put $100 down.
My money is your money, and your money is my money. So it really wouldn't help us out that much.
Either way,
except for I get to choose how to spend it.
All right, let's just get in. I think I have a vibe that you're going to get 100% on this. Let's find out. Be or not be. Mom delivers her own baby after watching YouTube tutorial.
Oh, wait. This was...
Did I already do it?
We've already done this one.
Okay. Well, do you remember? Is it a be or not be?
Yeah. It's a true story. It's a true headline, I mean.
It is. I'm supposed to delete these after we do them. So that is a true headline. So if you didn't see the episode where we had that, let us know. Put in the comments if you know what episode the mom delivered the baby on after watching a YouTube tutorial. Did we do this one? Okay, B or not B? Man mistakenly runs the full Fargo marathon instead of the half marathon.
Oh, I could believe that.
Well, is it a B or not B? Haley, is it a B or not B?
It's not a B.
So she says B. You say not B.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 2 not Bs and a B. Wait, I don't know. Who do I cheer for? Who do I say no for? It is a real article.
Yes,
this man accidentally
that's me.
runs full Fargo marathon. Hey, no. Absolutely not.
Why do you get control of the buttons?
That's the way it's in the Bible, 2 Corinthians, obviously. That's deep theological stuff right there. No. He shall haveth all buttoneths. Yes. Can you imagine running? So a marathon, in case you guys don't know, is 26.2 miles. So can you imagine you signed up for a 13-mile run and you ran 26 miles? I'm not sure.
This sounds like something my sister would do. No offense, sister.
That is a lot. That is a big mistake. This isn't I ran the 5K instead of the 3K. This is I ran 26 miles. Let's move on. Okay. B or not B? 10 biggest adjustments fleeing Californians have to make in their new states.
Wait, read that one more time, please.
10 biggest adjustments fleeing Californians have to make in their new states. B or not B?
I would say...
Wait, hold that thought. Haley, what do you think? B or not B? She says B. Prudence?
Wait.
B or not B?
This is the sound of my brain thinking. It's not the B.
It is the B. That is the B article. 10 biggest adjustments fleeing Californians have to make. So why this is funny, in case you aren't sure, is that Californians are fleeing the state in record numbers to go to
well, that's why
greener
I
pastures.
thought it was
They're
true.
looking over the fence
this
of the
feels
border
like
of
it's
California.
true.
They're saying it's greener.
I feel like I could have written this like blog post.
It's not a blog post. It's an article.
Article.
B or not B? So wait, have you gotten any right?
Yeah, I got the first one right.
Okay.
So, guess you're gonna have to pay me something for that.
Okay, B or not B?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are you ready? I'm ready with all the buttons. B or not B? Chinese farmer unleashes 300 million hungry cockroaches to eat food waste. Chinese farmer unleashes 300 million hungry cockroaches.
How would he even get that many? That can't be a real thing.
I want to know how they know that those cockroaches are hungry.
I'm gonna say no. That's not a true headline. It is the B.
So you're saying B. She's not B. Okay, I'm just gonna hit all the buttons. So it is an actual headline. It's an actual thing that happened. A Chinese farmer unleashed 300 million hungry cockroaches to eat food waste. Here's the bad thinking here. Once they're done, the 300 mil
they're
cockroaches,
bigger, they're better.
They're better.
Fatter.
They're too much for Mr. Incredible. They are then going to eat something else.
That's right.
They don't.
Namely you.
Not people. They're not that big of cockroaches.
Well, I can imagine. You've been watching
X-Files again?
Something large coming out of that field.
It's like they did these beetles. Remember the beetles that the little bark beetles that they released to? No. What happened was, in Yosemite, there were these bark beetles that were killing the trees by the millions of trees.
I think they still are.
Because
how can you put the beetle back in the bottle once it's out?
And so when there's a slight drought, put the beetle back in the bottle?
Yeah.
Those are some straight fire bars. We should tell those going. So when there's a slight drought, the tree doesn't produce as much sap. And so then if there's not enough sap, then the beetles are able to penetrate the bark.
Right,
And they were
because the
killing these
sap
things.
is basically the tree's tears,
So,
if you think about it. You cut into... no,
so
I'm not.
anyways, so then the scientists thought the smart plan would be to bioengineer a predator to that beetle and release it by helicopter over Yosemite. So we're not, like, this is recent stuff, so I don't know if it's turned into a new dystopian science film that came true yet or not. Okay.
Ugh.
All right, be or not be. Last one.
This is why,
Okay.
you know...
Last one. This is, okay. This one is, I don't think you guys are going to get this. FBI adds itself to FBI watch list. Be or not be. FBI adds itself to FBI watch list. Be or not be. We got one true.
Wait, is this just like different branches of the FBI?
No. You know the FBI.
Federal
on the FBI
Bureau
watch list.
of Instigation.
Oh my goodness. Investigation, babe. FBI.
It's close to the same thing.
Is it a be or not be? Did the FBI add
I'm
itself
gonna
to its own watch
say-
list?
Yeah, it's a real headline.
Incorrect.
Oh.
It is a Babylon Bee. Okay,
I was going to say that second.
here's the last one. This one's so obviously a Babylon Bee. I'm just going to give it to you. It's a Babylon Bee, but it is so hilarious. Wife proposes household debt reduction act where she spends thousands of dollars at Target. All the men are laughing right now that are married. Okay, so wait, what was your final score?
Low.
I'm going to give you a participation
This is
trophy,
just,
Prudence.
you know, it's
Good job.
just, it's discouraging because, like, so many of these things you can actually see as happening in our society. And, you know,
I'm moderately troubled as I
when
read
you're
the
right,
article
you're
about the
discouraged.
Chinese
When you're
farmer
wrong, you're discouraged because
unleashing 300 hungry cockroaches
I'm telling
to eat
you,
food
all
waste.
those cockroaches, they're going to join forces. They're going to make one giant cockroach and just consume the farmer and his house.
Just like Men in Black.
He's going to wish that he would have never
These
fed them.
cockroaches are out there. These Chinese cockroaches are out there forming.
I mean,
labor
what are they
unions.
going to do? Make cockroach soup after they're all fattened up?
Yeah, that is so disgusting.
Well,
We
I'm
definitely
serious.
need to move to Nehemiah. That is just hideously gross. All right, let's dig into this.
Don't
Okay,
wanna waste 'em.
So this is the third episode in a series, 3 episodes, where we're digging into the book of Nehemiah, which actually, fun fact, was originally Ezra 2. Did you guys know that? It wasn't Nehemiah, it was actually Ezra 2. Anyways, Prudence has actually written a commentary on the book of Nehemiah. Now, she's
Well-
kind of like, no, don't tell people that, don't tell people that. But it's actually literally a commentary. I think we're going to polish it up and put it out there.
Yeah, no, we are not.
I
We are not
will
going to be
polish
doing
it up
that.
and we will put it out there because it is that good. It is very, very good. So what we did for the first 2 episodes is we're going through this commentary, basically, that she wrote and commenting on the commentary. Excuse me. We're commenting on the commentary and we're up to, are these verses? So you're saying we're up
Points,
to,
actually.
They're bullet
They're
points.
points,
They're
yep.
not verses. So we're up to point 22. And I think we just continue what we're doing before, where we read it and then we'll discuss it a little bit. And if you have not seen the first 2 episodes, you should check it out. You can go to eaglemountain.tv and see those first 2 episodes. Just click on the shows and then click on Together We Build and then find it. I think it is episode 8 and 9 of this show. If it's not episode 8 and 9, then don't be frustrated with me. Just go find them and watch them. But let's get into it. Let's pick up on point 22.
Yeah. So, did you need something?
Hit it. No, hit it.
Okay.
I'm ready with the buttons. So if something that I don't like, I'm going to hit this fake
See, apparently there was a lot.
Honestly, it's fake news. It's fake.
Okay. This isn't fake news. This is actually.
Okay, I'm gonna put the fake news away. We don't.
Yeah,
I don't want
he's
the distraction.
you're button
But I'm keeping the
happy
cheers
rather than
here.
trigger happy. It's
I'm ready
button
with the
happy.
cheers button.
Okay.
If there's something
So
particularly.
apparently there was a lot of people that were acting as creditors. They were like enslaving their own people.
Mm-hmm.
So accountability was needed for the all the bankers and the creditors and everybody that was just really taking advantage of this group of people. And he instructed those that had been oppressing their own people to drop the debts and return the people's land to them immediately. And so the creditors agreed to do it right away. I don't know why they agreed to do it right away and didn't throw a fit, but it says that they just said okay. And then they were asked to swear to do as they promised. And then Nehemiah just came down on hard on all of those that might not keep this promise of debt forgiveness. So he basically...
I would definitely have wanted to be in those meetings when he's like, so what I'm going to need you to do is forgive all of the debts.
Yeah. So did he know these people or what? Because he literally was like holding them accountable. He's basically, they all came in line to do the right thing, and he just made sure that they did it, that they did exactly what they said they would do.
That's awesome.
So he knew the people well and their little quirks and sneaky ways of trying to get out of what they said they were going to do. And so I guess a question, what was that? Are we able to say what needs to be said in a way that we are heard? I don't think I phrased that quite right.
Are you talking about with the leadership? Are we able to say what needs to be said? So you're posing the question to someone in leadership. Are they allowing their people that are in their stead to be able to say what needs to be said? I think that's what you're trying to say there. Is that true?
Yeah. And are we following up with others to make sure that they do what they said that they would do? Which, I mean, I feel like, you think, oh, well, people should just do what they need to do without, because they should be mature. They should. Well, yeah, in a perfect world, yes.
It's true, they should.
That'd be nice if people police themselves, but they don't.
But they don't always.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
So Nehemiah was a generous man, and he saw the burden laid upon others for the food allotment that was given to him, and he saw it wasn't right, and that wasn't the way of the Lord, even though the king he served didn't serve Nehemiah's God. Mm-hmm. So he did what was right, even though he could have taken advantage of the people. So are we as a community strong in doing what God says rather than what our culture says is right, even when we might lose out on rewards?
Yeah, that's good. Another thing that is really, I think, profound about this particular thing is he had to be aware. So he had to be connected enough, spend enough time with the people to be aware of their need. So he wasn't like just seeing it from a distance, like he was paying attention.
Yeah, it was like he's rolling his sleeves up and getting down on their level and hearing what was happening amongst the community.
Right.
And addressing the things that weren't right and helping correct the persecution and the bullying and whatever it was that was going on.
Yeah.
So, all right. So then we go to number 24. There was a reprieve from the opposition, but they came back around again. So now we're back to the wall. Mm-hmm. And over they attempted to get Nehemiah into a place of isolation this time. So they're like, come, let us meet in the plain of Ono and have a cup of coffee. Well, actually, I don't know about the coffee. They probably had like some word sand tea or something.
Sand tea?
So Ono means the place of grief. O-N-O.
Yeah, I mean, that is a pro tip, don't name your coffee shop Oh No.
I don't know what would be an appropriate name for that. That could be a great brand name for something.
Oh No. Like adult diapers.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. We got
Okay,
we got 38 minutes to get
means
through all
place of
these.
grief, and in some definitions means strength and vigor to cause trouble.
Oh no.
So in between some of these scripture, there seems to be a break from the troublemakers. Now I don't suspect that they had stopped like planning and plotting.
Yeah.
You just don't read about it till about further down. But it's interesting that you wonder maybe they were getting bored in their lack of success because they've been trying some different tactics, and now here we come around again. So they wanted to isolate Nehemiah, get him out from his community, out from protection. And here they realized they had slacked off, and now there was more progress being made for God. So it's almost like they realized they'd been twiddling their thumbs and things were getting done. And the wall was getting built. And so you can see the devil's strategy kept changing. And this time they kept coming back over and over, requesting Nehemiah to come where they were. And so this was an obvious attempt to isolate him from his people and then kill him.
Yeah.
So
So there's a couple things in there, right? There's one is the isolation, and two, the distraction, right? Like get him away from, so like they get him away so he doesn't have the protection of the other people, and he's distracted, and he's unaware of what's happening, and the people aren't with their leader. So it's like a really, there's a lot of
So
advantages to the
they were
isolation.
trying to do a lot of infiltration, and so I think they thought, hey, if we can't get past the borders, let's see if we can get them out.
Yeah.
So Nehemiah saw right through this little gig of theirs and just didn't play ball. And so the question here is, are we learning what strategies the devil is trying to take us out with and just refusing to play the game?
Yeah.
And do we understand that isolation is a predatory tactic? So even in the wild, that the predators, they weasel out the weak and take them out that way.
Yep.
Because if they can't,
mean
they don't
like-
want to go into the herds of.
You mean like predators
bison
that go after
and-
herds?
Yeah.
Yeah, they like almost always a tactic is to just run
Mm-hmm.
them for a while till you can get one or two, off in isolation. Then
Yeah, so I
bad
think
news.
that, we've felt a lot of this even with the big C years. I don't want to say the dreaded name, lest we get canceled.
you're talking about
Yeah,
the
the virus.
Chinese virus.
But you can see how that just really wiped people out, just that isolation.
Yeah.
We're
We're not meant to live in isolation.
Yeah, are we able to share and confide in one another without the shame of being thought of less than? And are we making sure that we are surrounded by others who can help protect us? And are we being vulnerable with our protectors so that they know how to help protect us?
Do the mic in the right spot. I was just trying to read it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so these are all questions. Are we being vulnerable with our protectors so they can know how to help protect us? So that means that we need to be...
Well, you first have to admit, right? So you have to admit to yourself that there is a point of vulnerability, and then you have to be brave enough to admit that to your protector, right? Which, in our society, like the normal mode is to have everything together and to give the appearance of everything being together.
Mm-hmm.
And this runs totally counter to that.
Exactly. So if, and that doesn't mean that we just go tell any old person, hey, this is what problems I'm dealing with, and just, you need to be careful about who you're confiding in, I think, and have some discernment about who you're talking to.
For sure.
Because, well, you just should.
Yeah,
just
for
should.
sure.
Okay. So the enemy kept going with its next strategy. They just keep coming up with them over and over.
Yeah.
And this time, accusation of Nehemiah wanting to usurp the king's authority was stirred up. So they made up some lies and were perpetrated about Nehemiah setting up his own flock of prophets to broadcast to the people about Nehemiah's plan of taking over as king. Oh, yeah. So here we go with the strategy of accusation and fabrication.
And competition.
Leaking out some rumors for anyone with itching ears to consider.
What exactly is an itching ear?
That's like somebody that really wants to hear some dirt on someone. Yep. That's what an itching ear is.
That's funny.
So, because it is like, yes, there seems to be lots of us that just really want to hear.
Back in the day, the itching ear syndrome was called the prayer chain, right?
Back in the day? Which day?
Yeah, like where the one busybody would call the next busybody with the prayer requests, but it actually was just code for let me gossip about something bad happening with some family in the church.
Yeah. Well, and that's I mean, it's hard. That's hard because it really has to do with like the person's heart and what their intentions are.
They have black hearts.
I mean, because sometimes you do need to talk about more specifics that you need to pray about. But anyway, so how do you defend against this kind of attack? This
which one?
Accusation, lies.
Lies, yes. So this is one of the most difficult things to deal with, I feel like, in a lot of ways. Because, so somebody is saying things behind your back, they're lying, they're creating this kind of negative environment. It's like yeast in bread, right? Like it spreads. Bad news spreads fast. So on the one hand, you don't want to like confront this to some degree because when you confront it, you're like, give it legitimacy to some degree. But at the same time, you don't want to pretend like nothing is there because these itching ears, right? Like people are going to develop. So it's a very difficult balance.
Yeah. Well, Nehemiah didn't keep his mouth shut. He just came out with a whole megaphone and was like, hey, no such things as you say have been done. For you are inventing them out of your own mind.
So he confronted it.
He did.
He didn't try to create the right narrative. He was just like, boom, this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm. So the leader, which is Nehemiah, came back with force and he shut the lies down.
Yeah, that's good.
And he brought the truth, and the truth stood because there were no grounds for the lies to take root. So we need to make sure that we're in a place where we can bring the truth to stand against the accusation and the fabrication.
The nice thing is that truth is a really powerful weapon. Like truth is the weapon, right?
Yeah.
Like if you've got truth on your side, why hide?
So this really ties into good communication between the ranks. Good communication that has a lot of transparency and vulnerability is really necessary to keep lies from growing.
Yeah.
You know, so if something comes up from outside that somebody's stirring up, you need to go to your people and say, hey, this is happening. This is being said. This is what's being stirred up. And I'm here to tell you that there's no truth in this. And this is how we need to defend this. So, yeah,
that's really good. So again, on that, you have to be aware of what's going on too.
You do.
Like in order to combat that and say, no, this is what is being said. This is the truth. Here's what's really truth. You have to be paying attention so you know what's being said. Which is tough sometimes.
Yep. So Nehemiah also knew that the accusation was meant to scare them all into giving up. He knew that these guys were trying to really break down his builders and his people and cause a lot of discouragement. And of course, there's a lot of time spent talking amongst themselves about what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
So these guys, they say, the scripture says they wanted to I guess it would be Nehemiah. For they wanted to frighten us, thinking their hands will drop from the work and it will not be done. But now, O God, strengthen my hands.
Man, that's so good. So like the total typical strategy of the enemy, right? Like, let's get everybody all frenzied up, worried up, talking up, negative, discouraged, really distracted, and then they'll stop. And Nehemiah's like, actually, no. Like, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to press on.
So Nehemiah circled back around and requested more strength from God to keep going on in this task, which was hard and difficult and seemingly impossible. And he was feeling weary, especially, with all the dry heat and stuff and dust and sandstorms and
they didn't have
large
burgers
locusts
back then either. So.
But he knew where to draw more energy from. So, are we easily frightened by the accuser? Are we able to quickly identify what is happening and put out the fire? And are we remembering where our energy source is when we are completely exhausted?
Yeah. And when you're completely exhausted, that's the hardest time to remember that too.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to be around other people that can help remind you when you do get exhausted and tired.
Yeah.
So, okay. The next new devil strategy. Trapping Nehemiah in sin.
The old
the enemy hired a priest and prophet to work against Nehemiah.
So the thing that's crazy about that is it wasn't a witch doctor and it was a priest and a prophet.
Yep.
Dun dun dun.
So dirty. So they wanted to try to pull him into a sin. So of course, they were counting on Nehemiah to be more afraid of the earthly outcome rather than sinning against God. But it was more than that. They wanted to tarnish Nehemiah's character.
Yeah.
So they hired someone from the inside to do the job, hoping that Nehemiah would trust the intelligence.
Yeah, wow.
It appears that Nehemiah may have known something about the instigator's own character, and then started to question why he would do such a thing with this guy. So are we as leaders making sure we're checking the character and fruit of the people making suggestions to us or for us before we go along with them?
Wow.
And are we being careful with whom we listen to?
Wow.
So Nehemiah thought about things before he said yes or no. Yeah. Are we making sure we think about things before we act? People working from the inside for the outside is not uncommon. And it is our discernment working well on those we put into leadership positions and taking advice from.
Yeah, here's the thing on that too, right? Like when stuff is super, when you don't have enough team, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough staff, and you need a plumber, okay? And then all of a sudden a plumber shows up. It's really hard to not go, oh my goodness, the Lord has sent me a plumber, which very well may be the case. But it might not be the case. So it might be the enemy sent you a plumber. And this is why it's so important to understand who you have on your team and who you give authority to on your team, and not just be flippant just because you needed a plumber real bad and one showed up. It's not always from the Lord. A lot of times it is, and it's amazing. And a lot of times the plumber shows up right when you need them and they're from the Lord, but that plumber needs a lot of growing first. So they are the right person, but you still have to be careful with the authority that they're given. Very, very, very tricky and really hard to remember when you're desperate for help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Nehemiah constantly had to acknowledge that God was the punisher and not himself, and he brought back his anger towards the enemy to God to take care of. So Nehemiah got mad at the enemy often, or even his own people group, and he was frustrated with the devil because of the constant hindrance and harassment and bother that they delivered.
Yeah.
So he was angry with his people for being greedy, self-serving drains on their own people. This has still happened today, does it not?
Yes, it happens it's so relevant for right now. Oh my goodness.
It was probably hard for him to drop the matters, and all throughout we see him giving his anger towards others back to God to do what God wished with it. And sometimes the words really do have to come out to others. I mean, if we're needing to talk to them about something, people need to know in order to change.
Yeah, for sure.
And some other times it needs to go to God alone.
Yep.
And so are we making sure that we're putting our anger and frustration into the right trash cans?
Come on.
Do we know when it's time to speak up or shut up? Are we practicing forgiveness when anger does spill out and we sin in it? Are we learning as a people group to forgive ourselves in matters where our emotions get the best of us? It's very important that we have trash cans set out for people's emotions so we don't get to a point of volcanic explosions and division.
I want to make sure you guys understand. So explain what you mean by trash can.
Yeah, so I see a lot of times when we get frustrated or angry or have something negative happening in our head, that it needs to come out, can't stay in there and linger and do what it does and grow into something bigger.
Rot stuff, gross.
But we really need to do something with it. And so I call talking to the right person or writing on the right comment space or card. That is a trash can receptacle.
Yeah, emptying
of
out
sort,
the trash, yeah.
Sort. So when we have, a large establishment or business or something that we're running, it's important that we have places for people to empty.
Yeah. Another way to say it would be we ensure that we have created the right opportunities for people to express their frustration, not in a please give me feedback, but it's not a place.
But we also need to learn not to hold it until it is literally a volcano and it's so beyond repair.
You mean when you've got frustration to not hold on to it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The whole don't say something don't say something at all if you can't say something nice. No. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. That is a really great principle. It's not like it's false necessarily, but
it looks good on paper.
We sometimes learn that means, well, I don't have anything good to say, so I'm just going to not say anything. And then I internalize that. I don't actually deal with it correctly. And that will result in an explosion of negative sorts almost always, like pretty much always. And it's super important that you create opportunities for those people to talk through stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And it's easy to overlook, too. It's easy to overlook.
Yeah, because it's not like you want to hear negative things.
No. All right. So there were more prophets and prophetess. How do you even say this? I always mess it up. Yeah. Lady prophets.
Now you're making me guess if I'm saying
in the
it right.
ranks that were working against Nehemiah. So we have more insiders working for the enemy. And so my big thought is, did these people know that they were working for the devil, or were they deceived?
I think a lot of times there's both. I think some people literally do know that they're out to cause trouble, and I think sometimes people do not know this.
Yeah,
but they're unaware. They're so unaware. They're so out of touch with what the Holy Spirit's doing. They think they're doing good, but they're coming in and kind of creating chaos and dissension and frustration and division.
Yeah.
Division.
And so when things and breaks and a little distrust and broken relationship things happen, and it's hard to learn to trust each other again after that. So, but no matter what the case is, we must learn to trust each other and understand that there may be casualties in the trust. So, do we know that trusting each other is imperative to working well with each other? Are we trusting each other well? Yeah. Are we confusing not gossiping with things that must be talked about in order to help the situation? As I think that there is a lot of it, like it's difficult to talk about things that are difficult, especially if it relates to someone else, and not like, how do you, I think it just comes back to the heart, really. Like, what is your heart intention, really, in talking about that other person or the situation? So just keep yourself in check,
Yeah.
So the wall was finished in a supernatural rate of time and was seen as only having been completed because of a mighty God. There
Yeah.
literally could be no other logical reason.
Yeah.
And so we end up having a leader that held up through so many attacks and days of harassment, and he kept his faith in God and was not dismayed. And he encouraged the people, and they all moved forward in the miracle of the rebuilt wall.
Wow.
But in the beginning, they weren't entirely sure how things were going to work out, but they kept moving. I felt this. But they kept moving forward despite the obstacles that showed up. And the devil desperately didn't want success to happen for them. And he played all sorts of cards, and none of them won a hand. And the people group displayed discouragement, fear, and a lot of them were doing a job that didn't fit their skills and talents.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
They were asked to get on board and help build the foundational wall that was needed to survive in safety. And each individual family was asked and given a task to be a part of the team. The project was done with a small amount of people. The project was done in a small amount of time. The resources were few, and in fact, the people had barely enough to eat. Problems were solved as the problems arose, and good communication was at the heart of that project. It was well communicated what needed to happen. It was well communicated who was doing what. It was well communicated that they had support as they were building. It was well communicated why the project needed to happen. It was well communicated when the people were hurting and the leaders heard them and helped solve the problem. It was well communicated what the strategy of the devil was. It was well communicated on how to defend themselves from the attacks. There was a plan in place for the big emergency should it occur. This also sounds familiar today, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
There was communication to not just the elite, but all the people that made up the community. Everyone was on the same page. And within that community, the leaders took a chance and risked vulnerability to tell the entire group what the heart of everything was.
Wow.
So, are we believing in every fiber of our being that God is with us? Are we all on the same page? And how is our communication?
Super amazing, right?
So, do all the leaders think that communication is flowing the way it should? These are questions that should be asked amongst our communities of each other.
Yeah.
Is everyone feeling good and well informed?
Yes.
Because if there's people that are not, there could be problems with your communication.
I mean, there
or
is.
maybe they're not paying attention. But if you're hearing it over and over and over that people are not getting it, there might be problems.
Yeah, I think one of the things, so like the way that she has this written, she has the word communication in bold, and it's just like all over the whole paragraph. And I think it is so easy to get into a mode of thinking where you just think that people know stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're living and breathing it, but they don't know. And it's kind of like, I don't know, this is like a greeting card kind of thing. I told you once when I married you that I loved you, and if I change my mind, I'll let you know. Like, that's not how you communicate to someone that you love them, right? Like, that's ridiculous. But a lot of times we kind of think that way, and it's easy to slip into that because you're living and breathing whatever it is, the vision or whatever, right? As a leader, you're breathing that. You're part of your DNA. And so you haven't forgotten anything. You think about it when you wake up and you think about it when you go to bed. But not everybody has that experience. So you have to constantly be communicating. Nehemiah is one of the greatest examples of that exists because they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have Facebook Instant Messenger.
No, but they figured out a way to communicate.
They figured out how to communicate across the whole city while continuing to build the wall and defend the city. Mm-hmm. Like all that had to happen at once with no smartphones. It's kind of amazing, actually.
So I have this comment. Are there complaints from the builders and guards about bad communication? So I see builders as like in the church related as your worker bees that are in the church, and the guards, or maybe prayer intercession, or even security for that matter.
Sure. Actual guards.
Are they all feeling like they're understanding where we're all going, what they're even guarding?
Yeah. Do they know? Do they
Yeah.
actually know?
Yeah. So these are big questions, and I think that the devil loves to throw in sabotage on communication, because it really it sets us all up for so many bad things, so many assumptions that we have no other information to go off of, and if we're not mature enough to go and ask those questions, then we're just going to take those and run with it.
Yeah.
And it's just really unfortunate, but this was a big thing. This was a very, very important piece. And even after they finished, the enemy still persisted through manipulation of people.
You're saying even after the wall's built,
Yep.
you can't let up, right?
Yep. So this guy, Tobiah, he was sending people in to talk well of him.
Of himself.
Yeah. So to
that sounds like
good things about him.
Standard
and also to spy on Nehemiah. Says in here that these people were reporting back to Tobiah what Nehemiah was saying and doing.
Yep.
Crazy. So another tactic of inflating or lying about someone else's fruit, so that certain people will be able to speak into things and situations. Manipulation, which is also witchcraft. The enemy was also spying and listening to all the plans and things Nehemiah was saying. And it appears Nehemiah kept risking the spies anyway. Like he just let them in to have an earful. And
controlled opposition.
I'm wondering if he had some fun with this. I mean, certainly he had to have some sort of
You mean like controlled opposition where he gives them the message?
So anyway, I know we're running out of time fast here, but
I literally have on my iPad, it says keep moving, we're running out of time. I keep showing that to her.
Yeah. So we most certainly should be wise about who we're close to, and to whom we are sharing valuable information with. We have experienced many people only using you and I, actually, for what they can extract from us.
Yes.
As far as like
Hoovers sucking our talents and gifts out of us.
And it's really not a great thing to go through.
No.
In fact, many times over, I've reminded you to please not give away all your secrets for free.
I'm just
information.
Trying to be helpful.
Yeah, well, a little too helpful sometimes, but
yeah, that's true.
So we need to be wise about who we tell others of our plans, especially if it's intellectual property too.
Yeah. It's really about being a good steward, because a lot of times people will be like, well, no, I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to be helpful. This was my thought a lot of the time, that's the Lord would want me to help them. Yes, he does. But he also wants you to be a good steward of the things that he's given you to be caring for.
Yeah. So we also have to learn to be okay in sharing all the pieces we have to contribute to the larger puzzle with those we are working closely with in order to achieve success in the project. So we don't want to hold our stuff so tightly that we are not sharing. And it all comes down, we simply can't do everything. And we must release some control to others. We have to. So our discernment will grow as we also learn to trust others, even with the risk of opposition.
Yeah, man, that's so good. That is so good.
So questions, are we as a team learning to trust others with more information and at the same time protecting IPs and learning to trust others? Oh no, I just read that. And plans that are not yet ready to be made public.
Yeah.
Are we aware of potential imposters among us, but also not becoming nuts with mistrust
Yep.
and a controlling
Balance.
attitude?
It's always about balance.
Yeah. So I think it's just very mature discernment, really, about who you're divulging information to and what's okay and what's not, you know?
Absolutely. What else is critical to go through? Because we're completely out of time. I think you should read these mini tactics because this is totally applicable
so I made a list
to what's
of all
happening
of the
nowadays.
tactics that I found in there. Maybe there was some that I missed, but
Sure.
the first one that they started off with was discouragement, basically telling them,
I mean, he doesn't
you're never
use
going to be able to
anymore.
build this.
Nobody's
This is
discouraged
huge.
nowadays.
It's ridiculous. I can't believe you guys even think you can do this.
Yep.
Scoffing, brunt of jokes, bringing down. So then they took it out to the other people and just started ripping them up one side down the other.
Yeah.
Confusion. They sent the tactic of confusion amongst the people. They tried to get that baby in the door.
Yep.
Death threats and physical violence.
Yep. It happens.
Isolation.
Isolation.
False
I mean,
accusations.
We just had years of isolation.
Which are also the same thing, really, as lies. Traps of sin. So we need to be really careful of that one, too.
And justifying things. Well, that's like a super common trick.
Yeah. Attempting to break someone's character down.
Like wearing them down over time kind of thing.
Well, no. I think that this is really a combination, like it's a culmination, actually, of a lot of these things. So they were trying to trap him in sin so they could mar his character, basically. Bribery of prophets.
Wow.
Bullying and intimidation. Using words and letters to intimidate and cause fear. So it wasn't just vocal, it was also sending letters, making comments on online programming.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Come on now.
Sending blimps our way with
Blimps?
nasty words on them. I don't know. I mean,
You mean like the Goodyear blimp?
Yeah.
Got it. Understood.
Spying mission. Sending people in to infiltrate and find out what they're doing.
Yep.
So maybe they could copy it. Maybe they can figure out how to bust it down from the inside. I mean, this can mean different things to different people today, but manipulation and inflation of characters really going both ways. Trying to pump somebody up when they're obviously not worthy of what they're actually saying. Infiltration, I think, is kind of the same. Well, it's kind of the same as a spying mission, but it can go different ways. But anyway, so this is just a list of like 15 things that I picked out.
What's interesting about these things, and as we wrap this up, kind of the thing that we want to pay attention to here is this is like standard tactics of today. This is why I feel like the book of Nehemiah is so applicable, because this is exactly what Satan does today. He comes in, he does manipulation, he does division, isolation, all the different things that we're seeing right here. It's the same playbook. He just has better tools now, honestly, better tools. But you know what? So do we. We have better tools also. So one of the things that I think is really important is that we don't let the enemy be the only one with the tools. Like, we should be using all of the same tools, and we should be using them for kingdom purpose. I love this book because it is like a guide of inspiration and how to. Like, we can read the book of Nehemiah and we can say, wow, we can do this. Look what they pulled off. Look when they partnered with the Lord and with each other. Because that's the only way this worked, is that they partnered with the Lord and with each other. People got out of their pride. They did jobs, like Prudence was saying, they did jobs that, I'm a such and such. Well, today you're going to be, carrying these stones. Well, I'm important. Well, today you're going to be carrying these stones. Very important. These stones, very important. So everybody got out of their preconceived thing that they're bringing to the table and said, okay, what's my part? what is my part for right now in this season? And then the enemy comes in with all those tactics that she just read. And they together, with partnership with each other in the Lord, just push those distractions back out. You do that. One of the things that is so clear, and you read it so well in your commentary, is through a shared vision, understanding, and constant communication, re-communication, re-clarification. How are we doing? Tell me what's going on. The enemy's out spreading lies. I'm paying attention to what he's saying. Here's what he's saying. Here's why it's not true. Here's where we're going. Here's your part. Here's where we're going. Here's your part. Here's what the enemy's saying. Here's how it's not true. Constant, completely transparent, and consistent communication of the vision. Well, that's like encouraging to people. They want to know, is what they're doing matters. People want to know, is what they're doing, does it matter? Is it actually move the needle? Or is this all just a waste? Right? And you can be super cliche about throwing the starfish in, and there's millions of starfish and you can't save them all. And, I don't know, this is the thing you guys all know I'm talking about, right? Like, there's all these starfish, and the one person was throwing them back in on the beach because they were all dying. And the dude's like, dude, you can't. You're not even making a dent. It's like, yeah, but it matters to the one that I throw in there. It matters very greatly, every single piece of the puzzle. And as soon as we let the enemy come in and do that list of tactics that Prudence read, we're giving him a foothold to kind of create an opportunity for us to be distracted. That's what was happening for 50 plus years on this wall. They weren't able to build this for 50 plus years. They roll in, they build it in a matter of days, literally days.
So it was like 52 days or something.
52 days, and that would have been considered impossible, but it wasn't. Why? Because of the communication, partnering with the Lord, following these kingdom principles. Any last thoughts? You've got 30 seconds. Hit it.
Well, I don't know. You were really going to town there.
I had some things that I was thinking about.
Yeah, well, I did most of the talking this round, so.
I guess the real message here is one of encouragement. This is, I feel like, a very encouraging piece of scripture because it's like an insurmountable thing that can't be done, and they do it. And that is encouraging to me.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people feel that a lot of times, and it's important to know that we can do large things because we have a large God.
Yeah. Yeah, these stories of Nehemiah and Gideon and these things, they're not just good stories that are kind of fun and we should make a movie out of it. They're historical accounts of God doing things that only God could do by partnering with people. And that's really what he's called us to. And I think that, as Prudence and I go through these, 3 episodes in this series, which, by the way, go watch the others if you haven't. Okay, this is the 3rd one. I guess the message is really one of encouragement, really one of, look, it can be done. Like you said, we have a big God. And I think it's easy to forget, but if you can remember it and you partner with them and you partner with the right people, look what can be accomplished. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you again for watching this 3-part series. Again, I said it a few times, but if you haven't seen the other 2 episodes, go watch them. I think it's episode 8 and 9, and they're fantastic. This commentary, I'm going to twist Prudence's arm until we can get a copy of this out, and you'll want to check that out. Definitely you can watch other amazing program on eaglemountain.tv. eaglemountain.tv. Check it out, this program. There's many others produced by Eagle Mountain. It's been absolutely fun digging into this, but you don't want to miss a single episode. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see this on YouTube. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on Rumble and Eagle Mountain TV. If you're watching it on YouTube or one of those, definitely go in there and like, subscribe, hit the little bells and thumbs and all that stuff. Do that stuff because you don't want to miss a single thing that's coming out on Eagle Mountain TV. Okay, I think that's it.
That's it.
All right, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.